Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Music Mates 80s edition. I've given up on putting together a mini bio for each episode because it's something that I can't be bothered to do anymore. If that changes, you will know. We have a really exciting episode today. We're reviewing one of my favourite bands, not just from this era, but from every era. And we are reviewing the group's most beloved, acclaimed album, the one they get remembered for. But before that, we have a special guest to introduce who's going to talk a little bit about the albums that we've reviewed so far on this series and give his thoughts on them. So, Andrew, it's really nice to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I have been doing my homework since missing out the other albums between Remain in Light and this one. I've gone back. I've listened
most
to
of the albums that we've done.
Yep. I've gone back. I listened to Discipline by King Crimson, and I will tell you very quickly, I gave it a 5 out of 10. It was distinctly 80s. It was kind of a dull prog rock. It wasn't exciting. It wasn't terribly interesting. I can't say it did a lot for me. I was a little disappointed because the two King Crimson songs I know I do quite like. But Discipline, I think they'd lost their stuff getting into the 80s.
Andrew, can I ask you a question?
You can.
What did you think about the album having 2 instrumental tracks at the end?
I knew this was fucking coming when you said Andrew.
This became one of the weirdly large discussion points for this album.
I listened to this album a few days ago, and I now can't remember because I was listening to the deluxe version on Spotify, and I knew some of the tracks at the end wouldn't be ones that were on the original album, so I didn't listen to them. It is entirely possible I skipped a song that is actually on the actual album, because I'm not sure I remember there being 2 instrumentals. But again, like I say, it didn't excite me or interest me, so I could well have just listened to them and just not noticed they were instrumental, because not bad, just cool. Also not good in my opinion.
I think we shared a lot of those thoughts, to be honest. I know with Harry, he liked it the more he listened to it. I know I disliked it the more I listened to it, and I know that Tony and Johnny were kind of ambivalent, sort of liked some things about it but didn't really click.
Yeah, I mean, 5's what me and Harry gave it. Tony gave it a 6, you a 7, so it's not really, it's in line with the rest of the scores.
Yeah. So 1982 next, right?
Yes, Thriller, Michael Jackson. I thought going into this, I know Michael Jackson's music like everyone on earth. His songs are good. I went into it thinking, well, this is going to be a solid 8 out of 10 at least. I know Thriller. I know the song Thriller. I know Beat It's on that album. They're songs I like. And listening to it, there's only actually 3 or 4 good songs on there. The rest of them are just, they're fine. They're nothing special. I won't listen to them again, probably. I will only listen to the 3 or 4 songs on there that I like. So in the end, I wound up giving it a 6 out of 10. I still feel a little weird listening to Michael Jackson's music now,
I know Johnny had a funny anecdote that we had to wait about 3 weeks to fully hear the end of, which was about you in Oxfam. Because people tend to have CDs that they play when they're working the till.
Yeah.
And every time someone would put on a Michael Jackson CD when it was your turn to work the till, you'd always take it out and replace it with something else.
I don't know that I would always. It would be if it came to a stopping point and I wasn't serving a customer, I'd be like, okay, I'll switch it on to something I like more. But yeah, I'd always find myself. It was more when I was in the back of the shop and someone on the till put it on, and I was always there waiting. Are we going to get a complaint? Is someone going to come up to us and be like, hey, actually that this Michael Jackson person, they're not very good person actually, and you shouldn't be listening to their music? And I'd be like, I kind of agree with you, but also person on the till gets to choose the music, and lots of people still like Michael Jackson. So, but no one did. I was always the person most worried about it. No one else seemed to care at all, and I while, I had thoughts about it, I certainly didn't, care enough to go up to a volunteer and be like, turn that awful music off. Don't you know what he did to children? You make me sick.
It's a bit of a strange one, actually, because his music gets played in a lot of different public places, and I don't think I've ever been in one of those situations where I've been with other people where anyone's felt uncomfortable about one of his songs being played. It's a bit of a strange one, because there'll be so many artists and bands out there that have very questionable, lead singers, frontmen, whatever, and the way that we feel about that music is very, very different, and it's kind of outlawed everywhere, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, David Bowie had sex with an underage girl, and I can listen to his music fine, and it does not faze me at all. And I do wonder, do I have a double standard about Michael Jackson just because I prefer David Bowie's music, and I'm like, oh, I can't let that bother me, or is it? I don't know. It's a separate issue from the music, really. But yeah, I mean, if I'm walking around a shop and I hear that they've got Michael Jackson on, I wouldn't. If I was walking around with my friends, I wouldn't complain or say, "Ooh, have you noticed they're playing Michael Jackson?" I might notice it and think, "Oh, they're playing Michael Jackson. Yeah, I guess everyone still does just play his music. It will still get played on the radio because, and that's." I don't know, his music is still very good, and I do still enjoy his music. I just often find that I can't as easily forget that he was potentially reprehensible as a person, and I can do that more easily with, other musicians I like, who have done similarly bad things.
I think this idea of kind of art and artists will definitely come up when we're talking about this album a little bit.
I don't think so. I don't think anyone in the Smiths has ever done anything controversial or had, terrible opinions about things.
So the next year, 1983, I think that was Tony's choice, wasn't it, from memory?
Yes, Frontiers by Journey. Weirdly, this was... I only listened to this album today. I listened to it after re-listening to the album we're going to get to for this episode. And yeah, for some reason, just good classic 80s rock is exactly what I wanted earlier today when I was listening to this album. It found me in exactly the right mood, or possibly from the very first guitar sounds, it put me in the mood for classic 80s rock. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time with that album. It occurred to me the singer from Journey is really good. I can see why their songs are a karaoke staple, because I don't know, there's good singing. It's good fun, emotive singing. Yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I did find myself thinking, my one criticism, potentially all of the songs on the album could have been about a minute shorter, and it wouldn't have been a loss. But, they weren't egregiously long. Can't remember the name of it, but I think the song on the album that was the shortest one was probably my favourite. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
So, 1984, it's the last one I think you've listened to, because you mentioned you hadn't done Hounds of Love,
haven't
right?
got to Hounds of Love yet, but did listen to Purple Rain by Prince. My first time actually properly listening to any of Prince's music. I'd heard bits of the song Purple Rain before, because it's difficult to avoid. It just gets played on things occasionally, and yeah, another 7 out of 10. It was decent. It was basically what I was expecting Prince to sound like, given what I have heard, and yeah, it was good, but none of it grabbed me, or when there were moments that there was a cool guitar bit, and I was like, ooh, curious to know where that's going, and then it didn't. It sort of dissipated into the ether, and I was like, oh yeah. So good, but not going to be one of my favourite albums ever, but a good album.
What was it that didn't grab you, do you think? Was it a few things, or one thing in particular, or are you not entirely sure?
I don't know. I think possibly I was hoping for something a bit more, I don't know, with a bit more funk to it, or something to... I wanted to be, grabbed and made to feel like I should be dancing, I think. and it didn't do that. Granted, I was at the computer making a like a miniature on Hero Forge for a D&D campaign, so not like in the danciest of of zones, but yeah, it didn't it didn't have me up out of my chair doing like pirouettes or anything. So
Prince has failed to consider the making digital models for D&D market with his music.
yes, it's just not music for making miniatures, dude. And I think he should have been able to predict that in the 80s.
Well, I mean, it was really good to get your thoughts on those albums, Andrew. Thanks. I guess, I mean, I can definitely see you. You can always come to any of these episodes, but I'm just thinking from what Jonathan said, I'm guessing you'll probably be on another episode for sure later on down the line. So I guess that would be a good time to give the rest of the scores for other albums that you may not have listened to
Yes.
by now.
Yes, no, I fully intend to listen to all of the albums for this 80s thing, so you can get a total score for all of them for everyone.
Yeah, it was interesting seeing as I was adding in the numbers that before Andrew's score got added to Purple Rain, it was equaling Frontiers and Thriller, having had all 5 scores come in. But yeah, that's the clear lead at the moment in terms of scores for as much as that matters.
Is that Purple Rain is leading?
Yeah.
Deservedly so, I would say, to be honest.
Yes. Second is Remain in Light.
That is music to my ears. Music to my ears. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for that, Andrew. It's great to have you on the podcast as well. It's always really, really nice to have you here.